Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Nick O'Leary, and today I'm doing something slightly different. For those of you who are regular viewers to my channel, you'll know that every now and again I post some tips and tricks videos, and they certainly do well because with all of my tips and tricks videos combined, they total about just over 1.5 million views, which is insane, so thank you so much. I of course couldn't have done it without you. So what I'm going to do today is add to that, but with a twist. And that twist is almost like a two-part special. So Adam from AB Auto and I have been chatting behind the scenes, and as he's recently just purchased a very nice Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S, we're going to offer like a kind of two-part video. So in my video, I'm going to run through the Mercedes-AMG 10 tips and things you need to know, and then Adam's going to have a look at some of those tips and see which ones apply to his specific car, which I won't lie, I am slightly jealous of because it looks amazing. So let's start off with number one. So then guys, starting at number one, did you know that even today in 2021 that Mercedes-AMG still deploy this tactic, and it is the one man, one engine philosophy. And if you've never heard of that before, basically on the highest performing Mercedes-AMG engines, so vehicles like the 45s, 63s and 65s, when they're being assembled and built in the factory, it's only being done by one person. And when they're finished, they put a plaque on top of the engine bay to signify their work. There is one just over here. Let's take a look. So this car right here is a Mercedes-AMG vehicle, and this one is a Mercedes-AMG GT 4-door coupe, and it's actually the fastest production car that Mercedes-Benz make. But it's not just on these. You can find these AMG plaques on A45Ss, CLA 45s, C63s, G63s, that sort of thing. But this is what it looks like. So if I open it up, you can see that plaque literally right here in this massive, great slab of an engine. I apologise in advance, I'm probably going to ruin this person's name by the pronunciation because pronunciations are not my strong suit, but handcrafted by Reynard Strauss? I probably ruined your name, I'm very, very sorry. But having said that, the plaque is still really, really cool, even in 2021 today. So yes, as Mercedes-AMG engines are hand-built, they do have a very strict running in period, and if you purchase from a main Mercedes-Benz dealership or showroom, they will of course explain this to you and detail what you can and can't do, just for the first 1,000 miles anyway. It is all detailed in the manual as well, but you can also find it on a sticker up here on the top right hand corner of the windscreen. And basically it states notes on breaking in a new vehicle. So for the first 1,000 miles it states no full load operation, no kick down. So if you don't know what the kick down is, that's the accelerator pedal. When you push it all the way down, you've got that kind of clicky bit at the bottom. So it's advised not to go to that for the first 1,000 miles. Also not above 85 miles an hour, and then also not above 4,500 revs over on the right hand side here. So it's only for the first 1,000 miles or so, and then it says to increase the load slowly after that. And then of course you can get on to race starts, which are launch control. So once you've completed your running in period, what you'll then be able to do is a launch control, or what Mercedes-Benz call a race start. Basically launching the car from 0 to 60 in its fastest possible time. Now sadly, at the time of producing this video, I don't have my hands on one to actually show you all on YouTube. However, I will do this probably next year, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and that way you'll be notified when I do upload and produce a video on that particular topic. But anyway, on to the next one. So while we're on the topic of high performance and Mercedes-AMG engines, did you know that if you've purchased a Mercedes-AMG brand new in the UK, you may get an invite for a track day at Mercedes-Benz World? Yes, you can literally take one of these Mercedes cars round a track and put it through its paces. Now I have done this myself and I can't recommend it enough. It is an amazing day out. They've got a skid pan there, there's a high performance circuit, high performance straights, and there's even an SUV off-roading section as well. But yes, you can take some of these high-performance Mercedes-AMGs round a track and have a fun day out and even check out their museum as well. Now on some selected AMGs you can view some engine data, so if you're a true AMG enthusiast and you love your high performing cars, this is definitely the menu for you. Now it can vary from model to model. Sometimes it's on the left screen, but then sometimes it's on the right screen. So in all honesty, you just have to have a look, just because it can vary from year to year, model to model, that sort of thing. So if it is on the left screen, press your home button and then go to vehicle, and then you may see some AMG engine data in here, and that's how you can view it on that screen. Now in this particular car, it is on the right hand side. So if I press the home button, swipe this across to the left, you'll see AMG Performance. Now this is a unique menu to AMGs. You won't find this on any other Mercedes-Benz. So if I go in here, you can view things like your boost, your engine temperature, gearbox temperature, and handling if actually you see the blue where it says 16 and 20 degrees. That's the kind of ambient temperature in here at the moment. When the engine has warmed up successfully, so obviously when you get to operating temperature, these actually turn white, and you can only do a launch control or a race start when these two figures are white. So that's one good thing to note if you do a lot of kind of racing and that sort of thing on a track. This is definitely something that's really, really important to note. Now swiping the touchpad down will go through different things, so you can view things like what mode you're in. Now this particular car has these circular buttons on the steering wheel that I can spin around, and it will control the comfort, sport, sport plus, and even race modes as well. And if you're really creative, you can even make your own mode. Now there is one called slippery. I'll cover that in a minute on the next one. But continuing on, just swiping down, you can see some other things like G-force readings. So yes, you can literally see how many G's you're pulling almost, even with acceleration, braking, turning around corners. So this is all the kind of telemetry data you'd even see on like Formula 1 cars. So it's quite cool, it's all built into the car. Now on some selected AMGs, you'll also find lap times. So again, it's kind of hit and miss on what side it's going to be on. Most commonly on some newer ones, you'll find it on AMG track pace, which is on the left hand side. Now sadly it's not available on all models just due to chip shortage and things like that, so I won't go into too much detail on that. But hey, if you do have it, that's pretty cool. But even if you don't have it, you've got some of the functions on there, which is quite cool to see when you're driving around in AMG. As you go to accelerate, you'll see it will go boost, that's your turbo, and it will just kind of increase or decrease depending on how heavy your right foot is really. Now one very unique thing with Mercedes-AMGs is I have covered many times before on the kind of walkthrough guides of Command or MBUX and customizing your instrument cluster. These are all videos I've done before. However, AMGs have a trick up their sleeve. So before I've mentioned you can customize your kind of instrument cluster and change the design. In this you have a special one which is reserved for AMGs only. So let's have a look. All you do is press the home button, swipe all the way across to designs, click in here, and then you've got your usual classic, so it's kind of traditional dials with the miles an hour on the left and revs on the right. Then you have sport, which is very similar, but it has dark yellow and green. And as you rev the car, you'll see these lights here will kind of trail up and down with the red. And then of course everyone's eye has just been drawn to the words Super Sport. Now this, again, as I mentioned, is unique to AMGs, and to be honest, if you have an AMG, definitely one you want to go for because it looks amazing. You've got your central dial with your speed in the middle there, and of course, as I mentioned before in previous videos, you can customize your instrument cluster. So if I swipe this across this way, and let's put those AMG stats over there on the left, and then hey, on the right, let's change this to G-force readings. So you've got every bit of information here that you'd fancy. And say if you get lost as well, you can even put your sat-nav over here as well. So much customization across the board. I think I'm going to leave it on that one because that one definitely looks the best in my book. So of course, it's not all about 0 to 60s and lap times and track times and that sort of thing. Sometimes you need to drive the car sensibly. Well, should I say most of the time anyway. So in most cars you'll find the dynamic select switch over here on the top left somewhere. Now in this car, because it's kind of a special one, it's not a very common car, this one, just because of its price and performance and that sort of thing. It's actually on the top right, and you can do it on the steering wheel as well. So when you spin this round, you've got these different modes, or if I toggle this up and down, same thing. You've got Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus and Race. Comfort being the normal one, Sport, Faster, Sport Plus, Fastest, and then Race is all out with a bit of traction control off, and you can kind of drift it around tracks and all sorts. So yeah, it's proper powerhouse, this car. Now this does extend to other AMGs as well, so they also do feature sometimes a slippery mode, just like this here. Now slippery does what it says on the tin there with the picture. It is for slippery conditions, so could be torrential rain to snow or ice or something like that. Purely it does depend on the car that you have. So if you have 4MATIC, it will make use of the four-wheel drive system a bit more, but certainly for like C63s that are rear-wheel drive, it will basically reduce that power a lot, because obviously there is a lot of power from these engines. They can be 400, 500, 600 horsepower, some of them. So anything that welcomes a bit more traction, especially seeing as I live in the UK, it does rain quite a lot. So yeah, very welcoming. Now next up is emotion start. Now I guess there's no way of putting this lightly, but this is definitely a way of showing off, and definitely a German thing. So of course when you turn on Mercedes-AMG engines, no matter what AMG it is, whether it's a 2 litre, 3 litre, 4 litre V8, or even on some of them a 6 litre V12, they all do sound really good when you turn it on. But emotion start basically turns it on with a little bit more noise, because, well, why not really? Maybe you just want to show off. So to do this, basically you just hold one of the paddles. So you've got your down paddle here on the left to go down a gear, and then this one over here to go up a gear. You basically just hold one of them as you turn it on. And yeah, basically turns the car on with the valves open and revs it slightly more, so you get a bit of poppling or crackling from the back. Yeah, very German Mercedes-AMG thing to do there. So that's, no complaints on that one, because yeah, if you can turn your car on, makes a little bit more noise, I'm all for that. So this is what it sounds like without an emotion start. And this is what it sounds like with an emotion start. Now, of course, if you didn't know how it works with Mercedes-Benz, Daimler, who own Mercedes-Benz, also owns some sub-brands as well. So you've got Daimler at the top, Mercedes-Benz, then there are Smart, then there's EQ, and then there's Mercedes-AMG. So not a separate company, they're just kind of sub-brands within the same company. But the reason why I mention this is because there is another sub-brand, not kind of owned by Daimler as far as I'm aware, but it's called BRABUS. So BRABUS are actually backed by Mercedes, so if you wanted to increase the horsepower of your Mercedes-AMG even more, you can do that. And say you want to put a body kit on it, you can do that as well. And the best thing about this, it is backed by Mercedes-Benz. Now my knowledge on BRABUS isn't too high, however there are a few models that you can customise and upgrade to give you even more power. So you can even do that for standard A180 engines to A45Ss, C63s, G63s. I remember one time there was a G63 that was 585 horsepower, which is crazy as it is, but BRABUS came along and tuned it to 800 horsepower. I mean, that is just crazy, but hey, if you wanted to have even more power than what a Mercedes-AMG engine already produces, then that is a route you could go down. There's a link in the description down below on BRABUS's website. So if you did want more, and you don't have to go all out with a body kit, you could just have the engine, you could just have a spoiler, they can do it all basically. So for my final one today guys, is did you know that most AMGs can take advantage of a higher octane fuel? Yes, if you check your fuel filler cap, you'll see on most AMGs the wording RON 95 and RON 98. If you see RON 98, then your car can actually accept a higher octane fuel, resulting in increased performance. Of course it costs more than normal fuel, but it is entirely up to you to see if it's worth it. My recommendation, if you're wanting every inch of performance out of your car, then I'd go for a RON 98 or higher, but of course it will quite happily run on RON 95, which is your normal unleaded. And there we go guys, that concludes this week's video on 10 Mercedes-AMG tips and things you need to know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, hit that like and of course that subscribe button if you want to see more future content just like this. Again, as always, huge shout out to Sandown Mercedes-Benz for allowing access to all the cars you see in the videos, as it would be very tricky to do it without them. So guys, if you wanted to see the reactions to some of these tips and the Mercedes-AMG things you didn't know, go check out AB Auto's channel, where Adam himself will be going through the things I've run through today on his own car. So go check it out and see what he has to say about all the things we've run through today. Until next week, we'll see you then.